Bucharest Media Center, Speaker of the Presidential Administration on EU Affairs, Colonel Andriy Lysenko, please. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Main events in the anti-terrorist operation area at Mariupol. The active situation stabilized a little bit. Adversary conducted a serious provocation at Shirokina, predominantly the morning. So the situation at the engagement line along in this defense position is stable. At Donetsk, the situation around Donetsk airport de-escalated despite the use of tanks and 120mm mortars. The engagement were of episodic character. At the same time, the adversary conducted a serious provocation to the south at Harenivna community, mostly very active at Horlivka. The adversary concentrated a considerable number of high-caliber artillery units firing at our positions to the east and to the west of the occupied city. At Luhansk, active combat continued at Shasta and Luhansk, and the adversary are firing at our positions from a high left bank of the Siversky Donetsk River. There they engaged, they have their defense, the combat position. And there was an engagement at Maraslok with the subversive reconnaissance of the adversary. The bodyguards identified an unknown person not far from the state border. When at the attempt of apprehension of this person, they identified a group of 4 people, and they disguised and they started firing at our military officers. The subversives, after the combat, had to withdraw to the territory of the Russian Federation. Yesterday, they registered 7 drones of adversary, and yesterday, as a result of engagement, we lost 3 Ukrainian military officers and 17 were wounded. The biggest losses were incurred by our forces because of mortar shelling at Lozovo, the Svetlodarsk area of defense. Militants continue to offer resistance at the front line, in the front line area. The night from 15th to 16th of May, the militants 5 times fired from a mortar SPG-9. And according to the traces of impact, we can identify the source, Molodizhna. No losses there, no casualties. But such incidents point to the fact that the militants are in aggressive mood and they can sacrifice the lives of civilians. This is also corroborated by the information received at the joint meeting of the Control and Coordination Center, where the Ukrainian party drew attention of the international organization on the arrogant shelling with mortars calibered 82 and 120mm, and also artillery with 122mm caliber. Ukrainian monitors collected the splinters of the shells and can demonstrate the evidence. The Ukrainian armed forces and enforcement officer had general exercise with the Marines, the Marines that now replenished with the 4th wave of mobilization. There was much done, and also repelling the attack and counter-attacking exercise. Evacuation of the wounded was done with the helicopter of the Marine Aviation. Now the graduates of the Academy of Security Services of Ukraine are improving their skills for first aid in combat. They studied technical medicine according to the NATO standards with the tourniquet application, transportation of the wounded, use of individual kits, and other useful skills. In addition to that, the young generation of Ukrainian patriots are more and more interested in the military training. In Dnipropetrovsk Oblast, there was a special test and field exercise for the older schoolers, and in the course of such exercise, young girls and boys got to know about small arms and their characteristics, and did exercises with assembling and disassembling the weapons. And our allies are also helping the Ukrainian warriors. 20 people from Chernobyl who were wounded in ATO area were brought to Georgia for medical and psychological rehabilitation course. And the enforcement officers are systemically busy with seizure of the illegal weapons. There was a special hiding place in Dnipropetrovsk Oblast, 5 F1 units, 3 total charges, and 350 pieces of ammunition. Svidova, the military officers of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, stopped a car and identified and seized and under-barrel grenade launcher, and also the ammunition with caliber 5.45. 7 grenades. To Sambarv, Lviv region, the engineer regiment officers came back for 2-month sappers would command the fire of the adversary, but they were always courageous and carrying out the combat tasks. On numerous occasions, they provided engineer support for roads, transmission lines, railroad, and also our sappers destroyed a great number of dangerous explosives. Ukrainian military officers also they come to rescue to the citizens of Donbass. Mironivka border school received foodstuffs, toys, and hygiene means from the Council of Civil and Military Cooperation. This children are social orphans, and support is very important for the scholars to feel safe. And also Marinka military officers provided furniture, medical drugs, stoves, food, and particularly large amount of bread. Thank you. Now your questions. The fifth channel, Dmitro Moroz. One clarification: is it true that IDA apprehended 2 Russian officers of GRU, and where the 3 people were perished? The volunteers say that was in Luhansk. According to information, I understand that this is Lozova. 2 military officers were lost at Lozova, far from Svetlova, and 1 at Shastya. About apprehension, yes, they apprehended 2 Russian military officers. They were arrested and now being interrogated by our operatives. This is all information that I can share with you at this point. If we have no further questions, we'd like to thank you, Colonel. Tomorrow we'll have another briefing from